Do you realize that to take any area of your life to a new level and achieve success, that it requires you to set a goal? Did you know that 92% of people who set goals don't achieve them? Hello and welcome to Act, Achieve, Live, the podcast where we unlock the secrets to becoming a high-performance individual. I'm your host, Shane Perry, and in each episode, we will delve into strategies for setting and achieving goals, stepping beyond your comfort zone, and creating new comfort zones that push you to excel and achieve your goals. Join us as we learn what it takes to be among the elite 8% of people who not only set their goals, but actually achieve them, as well as those that have learned to become not only great starters, but great finishers as well. Now get ready to act, achieve, and live your best life. Hey, everybody. I know in the last episode, I talked about getting into the mediocre, or what I call the middle class mentality. And I'm going to cover that a little bit today. I'm going to get a lot more in detail with this in episodes to come in the future. But right now, I just want to kind of address it on a broad scale. This middle class mentality is something that I came up with a long time ago as my early days in the business when I was working with people and studying people. And the reason I study people is because I just couldn't understand the behaviors of people. You've heard me mention it before. I think we're a very strange species. We can want something really bad, but we'll avoid doing what it takes to get it. We care way too much about what other people may think of us. And we all too often do the things that we want to do instead of prioritizing and doing the things that we need to do. So the middle class mentality is this way that I've observed of how most of us have been taught to think since we were kids. As I call it, it is a condition that keeps good people from achieving their dreams and living the life that they deserve. It's this entrained mentality that we've been taught since we were young. We're influenced by society, tradition, our upbringing, everything, you name it. So I want to kind of give you some ideas of ways to identify the middle class mentality, not only maybe in yourself, but in others, because ultimately, if you want to be successful, if you want to be an achiever, you want to be a high performance individual, you need to be able to identify the middle class mentality, and you need to be able to leave it behind for good and carve a new path for yourself. This middle class mentality affects our overall view of life and how we live it across the board in every aspect. So let me just give you some points here. Let's start off. There's really three areas: what we're taught, what we do, and what we say. And this is how the middle class mentality works. Let's talk about some things that we're taught with this middle class mentality. We're taught things like we should be happy with what we have, almost taught to not want more, not strive for more. We should be happy with what we have. We're taught people like us don't make it. We're taught money can't buy happiness. And we're taught that we should settle and just be like everyone else. Now, these are some hot topics because I've covered these already in some podcasts and in some of my social media. But that's because they're so significant and people need to understand this. We're taught the at least mentality. At least I have a job and a roof over my head. At least I have my health. Anytime we want to strive to do something special, we're taught that we should settle and be like everyone else. Now, what do we say? How do you identify this middle class mentality? What are things that we say? We say things like, when it comes to our money, we say things like, keep your money in a bank where it's safe. We say things like, when it comes to doing what we do for a living and being successful, we're taught that you need a college education to be successful. And I'm not against college at all, but I am against college if a young person is going to college with no real idea of what they want to do. They're just going to college to, as I call, the great 4-year diversion to avoid reality. If you want to build a career and follow a passion that requires you to have a college accredited degree, then yes, you need to go to college. But that's it. For most people, it's just a big diversion of reality. And for most people, the only reason we go to college is because we're taught since we were young that if you want to be successful, you need a college degree. We say things like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I'm going to tell you, this kills me. You know how many times I've witnessed this in my business where I'm sitting down with someone and offering them an opportunity to get mentored by me, work with me. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to put time into them. And if they just apply the effort, they can become a 6-figure earner in a really relatively short period of time. And they say, well, it sounds too good to be true. And I get that. But let me tell you the difference between someone with a middle class mentality and someone with a success-driven mentality. Middle class, mediocre people will say, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Therefore, don't even try it. You know what successful people will say? They'll say, if it sounds too good to be true, maybe it is. But you need to find out for yourself, because if it is true, you don't want to miss it. And that last part goes against the mentality that we've been taught since we were kids. We say things like, I've seen things like this before. It's probably some deal or a scam. Have you noticed that when it comes to a business, any business, if it doesn't fit within the parameters of an hourly wage or a salary with benefits, then according to everybody, it's got to be a scam. It's a deal. It's a pyramid. It's too good to be true. We've seen things like this before. You know, one of my favorite quotes is a big reason why the poor stay poor is because they take career and financial advice from people that are no better off than they are. Because successful people would never say or think the things that I'm telling you right now. They don't assume that just because something is different, it must be a deal or a scam. No, they're like, hey, well, what if this is real? If it is, then I need to take a look at it. That's why the rich get richer, that's why the poor stay poor. Another thing that we say with this mentality is, no, I'm good. I'm comfortable with what I have. No, I'm good. Look, let's make one thing clear. You wouldn't be doing most of the things that you do if you weren't comfortable doing it. But just because you're comfortable with it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. Let's talk about money. I'm comfortable keeping my money in the bank. Well, obviously you are, or you wouldn't be doing it. But is keeping your money in the bank for long-term investment purposes the right thing to do? Absolutely not. You're not even keeping pace with inflation. You're losing money every year. So I'm sorry you're comfortable with your money in the bank, but if you want to build some value, you better get that thing out of a bank and get it into an investment vehicle that at the very minimum outpaces inflation. We do the same thing with our business and our life. Hey, you should work out, lose some weight, get fit. No, I'm comfortable with where I'm at. Oh, you're comfortable where you're at, but it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. I'm comfortable drinking sodas all day and eating ice cream all night. Okay, you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't comfortable, but is that the right thing for you to do? You're comfortable going to the same job you've gone to for the last however many years you've been doing it, but it doesn't mean that that's what you ought to be doing when you have a chance perhaps to go out there and change the future for your family by starting a business and putting yourself out there and making some real money, maybe making in a month what you may be making a year right now. See, that would be uncomfortable. So again, this whole, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. People just blow stuff off. This is what we're taught to do because we're taught to be like everybody else. We're taught to conform. We're taught to not rock the boat. We're taught to stay in our comfort zone, be like everybody else, and live this mediocre life. And it's all because of this mentality that has been driven into us since we were kids. Last thing I'll tell you, as far as what do we say? We say things like, no, that's not me. That's not me. This is just how I am, especially when it comes to how you deal with people. Hey, man, this is just me. You get what you get. No, that's not okay. You need to be willing to change. We all need to be willing to change. Everyone should strive to get better in every aspect of their life. I want to be a better me. I want to be a more refined me. It's like when people say, I don't care what people think about me. No, actually, those people are the most insecure and typically care the most about what people think about them, which is why they say, I don't care what people think about me. I very much care about what people think about me. I want to be liked. I want to be respected. I know that that's earned, but I want to be liked. I'd like to be known as a nice guy. I'd like to be known as a humble guy. I'd like to be known as someone who cares about others. So if you see these people out there like, well, sorry, that's just how I am. You don't like the way I talk, how I am. Well, that's just because it's how you are doesn't mean that's how you need to remain. Strive to get better. But again, this is what this mentality teaches us. Now, the last area that I'll cover here with the middle class mentality is what we do. I talked about what we're talked about a little bit of what we say. Now, what do we do in this middle class mentality? Well, we do settle with being part of the status quo. We stop dreaming and turn cynical and pessimistic. Say, remember when you were young, you got out of high school? I used to deliver beer for a living. I didn't get out of high school saying, man, if I can just nail down that job delivering beer for the rest of my life, it's going to be awesome. I didn't think that way. I left high school. A lot of people leave college, whatever it is, with kind of like the world is my oyster. The world is in the palm of my hand. I'm going to do something great. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to do something big. I'm going to be special. I want to make my mark, right? That's how most people have this mentality, right? You get married at a young age and you tell your fiance, you're with a winner. I'm going to do something. We're going to live a great life. And then as people get into typically around their mid to late 30s, man, they just lose that fire. They stop dreaming. They turn cynical and pessimistic. Now, when they get hit with maybe an opportunity, what do they say? I just said it. No, I'm comfortable where I'm at. No, that's not for me. Oh, it's probably too good to be true. It's probably a deal. It's probably a scam. I've seen things like this before. You don't talk like that when you're young. Because when you're young, you've got this naive excitement and you haven't turned cynical and pessimistic. But this is what we do. If this is you, you can change and you need to change if you want to win, right? If you're wondering if it's you, then take a look in the mirror and ask yourself some real questions. It's never too late to change. What is something else that we do? We lose all ambition to better ourselves and our lives. Again, when we're young, we want to get better. We want to get good. We want to do great things. As we get older, we just lose all that ambition. We just settle. Most people let their physical health go, gain a bunch of weight, get a beer belly, eat wrong, don't exercise. They're comfortable. Really, they're not. But outwardly, they're comfortable because all of their friends are the same way. Everyone's because they're part of the status quo. That's how everybody is. Another thing we do is we live vicariously through celebrities, social media, professional sports teams, athletes, reality TV. And I got to really be careful here because I really don't want to anger anybody. I don't want to, piss anybody off here. The most people today live such a vicarious life and it's so unhealthy. You got people that are referring to their favorite sports teams as we're going to be good. Who are we playing this week? How are we looking next year? Who's we? Are you like the 11th man, 12th man on the field? Do you get to kiss the trophy? Did you sign a contract? I'm not trying to make anybody mad, but I am trying to wake you up. And the one thing you can count from me, especially on this podcast, is I'm not going to back down from telling the truth to try to wake people up. I'm a sports fan. I've got favorite teams. So I'm into racing. I've got favorite race car drivers, things like that. And I root for them to win. And when they don't, I don't like that they don't win, but it doesn't mean I forget about it within like 10 seconds. Has nothing to do with me. Instead of painting your face for your favorite sports team, how about painting your face for you and your family and make some changes and break out of this mediocre mentality and go out there and change your life and make some real changes. Stop living vicariously through all this stuff. In my opinion, and this is just me, I think Hollywood celebrities are some of the most jacked up people I've ever seen in my life. There's no way in the world I'd want to be like these people, the most of them anyways. Reality TV, I know, is not reality anything. It's scripted, and it's scripted for drama because drama sells. Part of this middle-class mentality is we become selfish. We don't mean to become selfish, but we do. We live for the weekend. We live for sports on TV. But so many men today, as long as they have their drinking buddies and their sports on the weekends, they don't care that their wife works a crappy job that she can't stand. They don't care their kids go to bad schools. They don't care that they're struggling financially. But they won't put those other things aside to go make some necessary changes to change their life and alter it, headed in a better direction. This is what we do, and we don't even realize we do it. It's not some sinister thing that we sit there and rub our hands together going, yeah, I'm going to be like everybody else, and I'm going to make sure that I live financially stress-free. No, we don't think that way. We don't think about it at all. It takes someone like me talking about something like this to get people to go, wow, he may be right. That's interesting. I don't like what I'm hearing all the time, but he may be right. And gosh, that may be me. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be mediocre and live this mentality. And then ultimately what we do is we live the definition of insanity, because the definition of insanity, as you may know, is to continue to do the same things over and over again, but expect different results. And one thing that we all do in this middle-class mentality is we live that definition of insanity, especially the first of the year. 2024 is going to be my year. Watch my smoke. This year's going to be different. We're going to change. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to start saving money. I'm going to cut expenses. We're going to do this. We're going to do this lifestyle, but we don't make any changes. So we're living that definition of insanity. We sit there and say, someday I'm going to make more money. Someday our life is going to be better. Our quality of life is going to change, but we don't do anything about it. So we're living that definition of insanity, of doing the same thing over and over again, but we're expecting different results. Guys, the whole point of everything I represent is to get good people to wake up, recognize certain things like the middle-class mentality, make the decision to break free of it, and take positive steps to set real goals, cultivate those goals, identify their comfort zone, break out of their comfort zone, move forward. So anyway, if you like this, please subscribe and follow this podcast. Again, you can also find me on disruption-factor.com. If you want to check out my website, I have a free download on there that'll walk you through a really good exercise about your comfort zone. Anyway, guys, I hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.